In fact, they love ponds so much they named a lily pad after Queen Victoria. It's the Victoria lily plant. The pad of this plant is very large, broad, and has very sharp upturned outer edges. Literally like Lotad in Gang. It's the iconic lily pad there. So there you go. Baltoy and Claydol, though. Two very interesting and unique Pokemon that I very much care about, and this isn't sarcasm. Okay, well it was. These clay dolls and ball toys are all inspired by the Japanese clay sculptures that I'm going to mispronounce. Shagoki Dogu. They depict odd little goggled figures with huge eyes and such. Why would these weirdo ancient Japanese Pokemon be native to the Galar region? Well, it may be related to why the ancient Japanese made these figurines in the first place too. Not many people can agree on their traditional reasoning, or even any ceremonies that use these figures. However, they all share similarities. I mentioned the goggles already, but the most important aspect of these dogu are that they are depicting females, normally with exaggerated proportions. Tiny waist, large hips, buttocks, and chest. So many of these have been found that some believe that they could be similar to Venus figurines. Venus figurines were those little figures that cavemen would make of the cave Big Titty Goth GF that they wanted so desperately. Cool. Okay. Well, these figures are important because they are everywhere in Europe and Asia, but mainly Europe. These Cro-Magnon really liked their fertility goddesses. And this may be why Baltoy and Claydol are here, in reference to the real-world equivalent. Even if it's not exactly the same as the specific sculptures they are based on, it's potentially the same purpose. But also, from the global perspective, England is kind of thirsty for artifacts and old relics. It's kind of what they dedicated a whole century to, and what led to a whole ton of problems. Now Dunsparce. I mean, ew, just look at it. It's so perfect, yet so not. It's an exact split down the middle of all things that are Pokemon. We did a video about how middle it is up here. Shameless plug in my already shamelessly sponsored video. Dunsparce is a Tsuchinoko. You know, the thing that you don't really know but may have known about, but now you know because I reminded you? Yes. Well anyways, this Japanese yokai is way more interesting than it looks. However, as far as yokais go, it's relatively tame. I mean, it's a venomous, double-jumping snake that's fast and can roll up in a circle and zoom away. Those are a dime a dozen in Japan. And it is very similar to the Ouroboros of ancient European lore and the hoop snake of North America, both before and after the Revolutionary War. So British. The hoop snake is dumb. Not only does it bite its tail and roll after prey like a ball, but it can also shoot poison out of the tip of its tail. Quite silly. Mawwile's yokai origins are pretty well known and pretty straightforward. She is based off of the Fudokuchi Onna, or the two-mouthed woman, which are characterized by their distinct two mouths. One is normal, placed normally on the normal human face, and the other is hidden on the back of the head, hidden in the hair, which is not normal. This yokai was pretty benign and just eats everything because two mouths mean extra hungry. It's just a hungry yokai, normally created to punish people who starved others. You know, yokai things. But Mawwile's a little different. That mouth on the back of its head is pretty drastically different from its main mouth. In fact, the Pokedex says it can chew through iron bars. Crazy. But why would this yokai be in the Galar region? Well, I have two ideas that might work. The first one has to do with the stories that this yokai is associated with. In the original tale, this yokai was created when a miserly husband doesn't feed his wife enough food, so the second mouth forms to sustain the woman until it gets out of control and eats everything. Misers are common everywhere, but the most famous miser is easily Ebenezer Scrooge from the Charles Dickens tale, which took place in England, is written by the English writer Charles Dickens in England, which is often depicted as filled with miserly Monopoly types.
Please, sir, I want some more.
I'm sure the mythical forces that create yokai in one region would still be there in another, right? The other possibility has to do with how many people say the back of her head resembles a bear trap. Though bear traps were invented in Canada, though by a man who was born in England, and of course, you guessed it, Canada was still very much a part of the British Empire at the time. So yeah, and I have tea. This would pair really well with some seafood. And those were the ones...
What?
And those were the ones that I thought were kind of weird in the Galar region, though I'm sure there are a few more, but possibly less oddities, like Quagsire. It's a Chinese salamander. What's it doing in London place? Well, in 2019, the London Zoo became home to 4 of these critically endangered animals. It made big news. They're doing a big preservation program. So maybe that's it. If not, then it's just because the name has the word sire in it, you know, like kings and lords and all that. Yes, sire. So what others do you think are a bit strange? And legendaries do not count for obvious reasons. Also, what Galarian Pokemon would be really weird in like Hoenn or something? Like Mr. Rhyme. Ooh, or what about like a dual citizenship kind of thing, like Charge-a-Bug. Japan has a huge amount of rail systems and trains, but London has just as many with just as much meaning, all being part of the Tube. You know, the London Underground. Please mind the gap and all. There's also Quillfish. It's like a naval sea mine. That's like very British World War II, but also very Japanese World War II.
It's good to see you.
It's great. A lot of these are great. Well, thanks so much for watching, and thanks a bunch again to Boxu, who sponsored this whole video and made the whole thing possible. Because when I eat these, I have to inject myself with insulin. And that's very expensive. So massive thanks. You can help out the channel by going to the link in the description and using the code LOXTON10 for 10% off. And until next time, you never stop using your noggin. Holy butts, this is my favorite.
I don't get it. Why can't I join time walking dungeons? What is happening? Oh, I know why. I forgot that a lot of the times if you like do weird stuff while you well plow through certain level of thresholds, the tool gets fucked up. Or sometimes it gets fucked up, so I can probably do the time walking dungeons. I just have to log out and log back in. Probably just temporarily fucked up.
Speak, friend.
Ooh.
Okay everyone, it's time for some comedy. This flat earth truth spouter prepares to put us in our place for believing a bunch of extremely stupid straw men. I mean, a bunch of widely believed scientificisms that we all think and aren't giant misrepresentations of extremely simple ideas, because the author of this video is so smart that he's come all the way back around to being dumber than a sack of unwashed swamp rocks. So here it is, a parody of what he thinks dumb globe heads think. Prepare your sides, for they will split asunder from all the uncontrolled laughter at his hilarious observations. Although, to be fair, they may well break from more unintentional humour, but is that not always the case? Let's rock. Well, that music isn't incredibly annoying, and for those listening and not watching, right here it says, my top 10 reasons, plus a bonus, why I now believe the Earth is a spinning ball. I mean, not to nitpick, but it is an oblate spheroid, not starting strong.
Strong getting hungry. Want someone to eat.
No, I didn't mean you, Strong. I don't need someone with a comparatively towering intellect.
Strong want to smash something.
Exactly.
Well, here it is. I'm going to have to admit that I guess the flat earth is wrong.
Yay.
I've come across some great evidence to show that we've been deceived into believing that it's a flat earth.
It's always about deception, isn't it? Why can't anybody ever just be wrong?
It's all just a LARP. The powers that be, the CIA, put this out there, but I've uncovered real evidence to show you today why there's no doubt flat earth is just fake.
All right, stop rambling for God's sake. Is this what flatards find funny? Because it seems to me this is generally just how you guys talk, saying a whole heap of nothing. Let's get on with it. I have things to do. Yes, I mean I want to go get drunk, obviously. Now.
Get on with it.
It's just, it's a round spinning ball. And here we go. Look at this time lapse of a sunset. Flat earthers and ball earthers have been arguing, does the sun get smaller as it goes away or not?
You misunderstand. Flat earthers have been arguing that idea, and everyone else says no. Let's find out why someone might believe such a ludicrous claim.
And I haven't seen anything definitive either way, but I was able to apply special filters to be able to tell that they're not showing us. So let's look at it normally. And you'll notice also when it sunsets, it tends to curve to the right, which would indicate that it's going around us instead of in a straight line. But wait till you see the corrected video.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Here we go. Don't worry about the size getting smaller as it gets farther away. That's all corrected. Now here you're going to see it turn to the right as it goes, see? But that's all corrected too.
I'm not worried about it getting smaller, because that's not what's happening. What you're seeing is oversaturation or glare. You're seeing it because of how cameras' sensors work, and they don't tend to use strong glare filters to defend from it, because that would cause images so dark they'd be useless in most situations. Here's two pictures of the sun in the same place with the same camera settings, with the same camera, only one of them is taken with a physical filter and the other one isn't. You see the difference? It's almost like when the sun dips behind the horizon, the glare is reduced, revealing the actual size of the sun,
Looks
or at least
same
closer
to me.
to it.
Looks
It's just
the
unbelievable.
same
They
to
haven't
me.
showed us the real footage. I applied a filter. Now it's going to look like a patch, but it's not a patch. It's a filter to show you the actual movement and size of the sun. Here it is. Here it is, right here. It's not what it appears to be. It's just a filter applied. Look how the sun stays the exact same size.
Ugh, Flat Earth comedy, everyone. Haha, you believe this stupid thing I made up? No, no one believes that. Ha 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 ha! Globe cucks are so dumb.
And when it gets down to sunset here in a second, that's just a reflection off. There you go. It doesn't curve, and it doesn't get any smaller as it hits sunset.
What really baffles me about you guys is when you show a piece of evidence for your position, it pretty much always refutes whatever you're trying to actually say. Like the fact that the sun here clearly goes below the horizon and not that it disappears into the distance. Self-ownage is like a superpower or some shit. Marvelous.
Now this is a video across a lake, and normally I would think this is flat earth proof. You can see this right here, but they're not showing you the side view. I was able to get somebody to sneak in a boat and get the side view of this laser.
Okay, so this is apparently the old shine a laser across a large body of water test to demonstrate the curve. Now, let's say what you have here is a proper example of that test, even though we can't see the measurements, we don't know where we are, and I haven't linked the video, so we can't check any of this. Always super useful, but most importantly, what is your elevation? That does not look anywhere close to water level. In fact, and I could be wrong, but you look like you're significantly higher. You know that if you're much higher up, that will mitigate the curvature, right? You do know that, don't you? Rendering this whole deal kind of useless.
You can see right here, this is the laser reaching all the way across the lake, which would be impossible normally, which you would think of on a ball. But wait till you see the evidence I uncovered. Check this out.
This is going to be super dumb, isn't it? Oh, God.
Here is a cross-section of the same laser test taken from a boat I snuck in to make sure it was true. Look how the laser actually bends up with the earth and is pulled back down. Gravity actually pulls it down on both sides. This is why the laser test works over miles and miles and miles.
Alright, so I went and got myself a drink, because you know what? I deserve it. So, what even is this? What exactly are you trying to prove? Why would the laser curve up and down? Who do you think believes this? Or are you simply trying to be funny? Because, and let me just tell you a secret to comedy. Not that I'm an expert on anything but terrible jokes, but even I know that if you want to parody something, you base it on what they actually think and the things they do. Making stuff up just makes you come off as the idiot.
Over the earth, even when it's on a frozen lake, we've seen that. I'm going to debunk the frozen lake too. Wait till you see that. So the laser tests are all false.
Well, unless they're done by non-morons who actually know how to measurement.
Now, I personally became sad over this one, as you can see here, when I realized since I don't have a PhD or a master's degree in physics.
Neither do I, but I have a funny feeling people are less surprised by your lack of education. In fact, what are the chances that you graduated kindergarten? Take it all bets!
I realized I shouldn't talk about anything. You know what made me realize it? It took a real life example. Here it is.
Anybody can talk about anything. They might even have a particular insight that others may not have. It's actually super important for everybody to talk about things. What you shouldn't do is assume you're an authority on everything you ever set your mind to without even trying to understand it. You know, like flatards invariably do.
See, when you look at this, it's like, what do you make out of this? You've got to have a degree to make something out of this.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm a complete idiot and I can make something out of this super goddamn easily. Not sure what exactly it is, but here it is. And jizz stream to finish. Perfect. That's an art right there.
But it's even deeper. I have a real life example which put me in my place. Here it is.
I'm sure there's nothing that will put you in your place. Not tests and experiments, not countless man-hours of rigorous science done that you couldn't hope to replicate on your own, or even with the comparatively tiny numbers of flat earthers, let alone the ones who actually bother to go out and actually test their hypotheses. Not reality. A man who cannot be humbled by his own vast lack of knowledge and understanding, he is the greatest mind of all. Certainly not an utter dunce.
You see, this actually runs as deep as family. My brother is an auto mechanic and has been since he was a teenager. He does many other things, but one thing he has always done is auto mechanics. In fact, he took a completely old, rusted shell of a Corvette, and from nothing, I mean literally nothing, just the shell with the 2 axles and nothing else there, he built it up from the ground up into a working vehicle.
Right, are we going somewhere with this? Very nice. Your brother has actually done something of value with his life instead of spending time trying to convince people that the way things are isn't actually true because reasons. I'm sure your brother is super duper proud. He just keeps telling you to get a damn job as a joke. He knows your work is super important.
However, here is when I lost faith. I told him I wanted him to take my Yugo and make it work just like the Corvette, and he told me he couldn't do it.
Assuming for a moment that this is in any way, shape or form true, sounds to me what he meant was, I'm not doing that kind of work for my layabout giant disappointment of a brother. I would have to literally just build you a new car from scratch like the other, and you just aren't worth that sort of time and investment. Because you know what? He could do it. Hell, with enough time, I could do it. We would just be left with all your original car parts at the side like every boy racer has ever done after upgrading their first clanger. So much that it's not the same vehicle anymore, and we could just rebuild your original car next to it. Would that even count? I don't know. I'm kind of off on a tangent here, but you bloody started it. What is your freaking point?
And it's then that I realized if he only had at least a 4-year degree, he would know what he was talking about and know what he was doing and be able to do it. Without that degree, you don't know squat.
Man, that's not what people are saying. Yes, a layman can have an opinion. A layman can do the legwork to find out more. But ultimately, the highest end stuff, someone is actually going to have to go out there and get these qualifications to really understand the breadth of knowledge fully, so that you actually have someone you could cite when you make your claims. The downside is, anyone who did get those qualifications is going to fully understand that flat earth theory is nonsense.
Forget about practical experience. This is something I missed earlier, guys. Sorry. Now, this one has to do with the working model. We had somebody named Tiger Dan who was big time not only into biblical scriptures proving the flat earth.
Biblical scriptures proving the flat earth. I feel so sorry for all of my non-broken brained Christian subs, because every day you make them look awful. I mean, thankfully, smarts like me actually understand that people aren't all the exact same within a religion. Some people are actually not EX plus Alpha 2 Tournament Arcade Legacy Classic Edition stupid. But a lot of people see you running around with your pants on your head and just assume because you are the loud one, you represent everyone. And that's just not fair. Poor buggers.
And that it was stationary. But he had an almost unlimited budget of somewhere between $50 and $75 and almost 3 months of work. And what happened was Australia was the kicker. He could not make Australia work. So I think he got close to the $75 maximum he had, and 3 months time, I mean, think about the patience it takes 3 months before you give up on something. So because of that, it's got to be false. I mean, think about it. He had the budget, he had the time, and he could not fit Australia on the map.
Are you trying to make it seem that it's absurd for us glow bastards to not believe the flat earth because this model doesn't work? Are you saying you don't believe it either? Okay, so what's your actual model? What's the one that works? I would love to see it. Or is that not what you're saying? Because even if he had infinite funds and infinite time, not only Australia, but basically everything on that map doesn't work. Because it's not real or reflective of reality. But either way, if you think it's silly that globalizationalizers think that you think that, maybe make it clear what you do think. Show us a consensus. Agree with each other on something other than the Earth flat, government done lied to us. Then we can show you all in one fell swoop just how wrong you are. Ugh, I've had enough of this video. I'm going to go get more drunker. If you want more, I don't know, like, favourite, subscribe, follow me on Patreon or what the fuck ever. I don't care. I'm not doing this anymore. Not today. I don't have a target.
so much gear. I almost lost it. Yeah.
Many deals for a friend of the Grummles. Like you. May your feet find good trails.
Okay, so I still can't join time walking dungeons. What? Fuck. What's the fuck?